Hi guys, it is Melissa Morrow with Vintage Bee Design, and I know I have been a little bit absent for the last 2 weeks. It has been a whirlwind of things happening since Vintage Market Days in Perry, Georgia, and I'll catch you up on some of the exciting activities. But today I really want to focus on something that I've wanted to do for about 15 years, and that's go to the Yellow Daisy Festival. It is located at Stone Mountain, Georgia, which is actually about 20 minutes from my youngest daughter and about 45 minutes from my oldest daughter. And so it was not only a great time to go check out this festival that I've wanted to go to forever, but also spend a little quality time with my girls. As mentioned, this is located at Stone Mountain, Georgia, and so it is literally at the large park there. So you do get beautiful views as you're walking around. When my kids were young, I was actually a full-time crafter. I was a stay-at-home mom, and to have something fun to do, I actually sold crafts on the side. So I've been a crafter as far back as I can remember. I know when I was a kid, my mom actually used to get mad at me because I would rather stay home and do needlepoint or cross stitch or some other craft rather than go outside and play. Since I've been in the craft world, if you will, I have heard about the Yellow Daisy Festival. Back in the 90s, when I was sort of at the height of my crafting career, if you will, the Yellow Daisy Festival was something that every artist aspired to go to. It was definitely ranked every single year, if not the top, one of the top craft fairs in the country. And back in the 90s, and if you think about the economic exchange, the reporting was that vendors were making as much as $25,000 to $35,000 over the 3-day weekend that the festival was open. And that is in 1990s, 1995, 1997 money. So that's a lot of money that was happening back then. Now, I have to say, I don't think that is the kind of revenue that most of the vendors were earning when we were there this weekend. They've been closed for the last 2 years, I believe, with COVID. I think this is the first year back open. I'm gonna compare what I saw at Perry, Georgia at Vintage Market Days with the Yellow Daisy Festival. So when we first came in, this actually was one of my favorite booths of the whole show. This woman made all these beautiful bears, bunnies, and dogs, and different animals, elephants, you name it, out of vintage chenille blankets. And she also made some basic chenille quilts from vintage chenille blankets. Everything was absolutely stunning. And this is the caliber of crafting that I anticipated being at Yellow Daisy Festival. The Yellow Daisy Festival is supposed to be 100% handmade, everything from scratch, no resale items. In the past, this has always been a juried event, and I will say there were a lot of quality artisans at this event. However, I think the booth styling in many cases left a little bit to be desired. I also think that while many of these items are quite adorable, they are styles that we have seen for the past several years, and there just wasn't enough unique artisan crafting that I really want to say was fresh and new for 2022. It is all certainly very cute, but you can see there was a lot of this style work, which is actually something that I used to do back in the 90s. There were some beautiful artists, and this is a booth that I really loved, but I'm going to say that they were few and far between of really having this quality caliber artist. With over 300 artists, I wanted to really give the show a chance to wow me. And probably in the first 30 to 45 minutes, aside from that chenille booth, I was feeling a little lackluster. This booth in particular, I did take video of. All of this is actually from a vendor that we purchased from out of Columbus, Ohio. There wasn't a single item that I could see that was actually handmade in this booth, except for possibly those troughs, but I don't even think those were handmade. I'm pretty sure they weren't. And they say hand-painted candles. Yeah, they were probably hand-painted in China. They definitely were not hand-painted in the USA. So this definitely left me disappointed. And even so, even in a retail booth, I felt like they could have done some better merchandising. Now, this booth had some interesting all handmade items. I really love this pumpkin. I wanted this pumpkin. I really wanted that pumpkin. This pottery was stunning. And I'm going to say I picked these up and these felt really beautiful in your hand. I don't collect stoneware. I don't drink out of expensive coffee mugs. I really like the generic cheap ones. I thought the prices for the quality of this merchandise was great. In general, I actually thought the quality and the pricing was right on for the quality of the merchandise that I saw. This booth was actually a favorite of mine. This big Jack Skellington, he actually lights up, and he had a fog machine. He was like $800, so I didn't buy him. He was huge, but I really did like the pieces in here, and I thought that the craftsmanship was good. This jewelry vendor blew me away. The pearls that you're going to see here in a second, these gray ones, these freshwater pearls with that leather, I bought this necklace. I thought it was stunning. It was about $100. I thought her work, I probably could have bought 5 pieces in here and been super happy. Didn't really have the budget. Don't get dressed up like that. This is another booth that I loved. They take old books and turn them into journals. They actually leave the pages of the books in. They're not just using the jacket. The story is actually still in there, but they add blank pages for journaling. I thought that was a really fun idea. Lots of leather work. I could definitely see that there were some laser cutting businesses, Glowforge, other laser cutting businesses. The jewelry, hands down, was some of the best stuff that I've seen at the Yellow Daisy Festival. I think I enjoyed just about all of it. I did talk with the owner of this booth, and we discussed like what I did at Vintage Market Days. And while she had a huge booth, beautiful pieces, well priced, she didn't think that she would make what we made at Vintage Market Days. That was a little disappointing to hear. Macrame, I loved it. But again, if you just look at the styling of the booth, this to me was just a run-of-the-mill craft fair. It certainly didn't feel like all the hype that I'd heard for being one of the best craft fairs in the country. Perhaps they've lost that status over the years, and I'm just, reminiscing about what the past used to be. There were some fun vendors. Again, I love these jack-o'-lanterns used out of these old propane tanks. I thought they were absolutely fabulous. So Vintage Market Days, I believe, had about 75 vendors at that event. And my understanding was they had over 300 artisans at this event. The traffic was significantly more at the Yellow Daisy Festival. I think one of the things that I found most disappointing about the event was there were so many people, but not many people had bags in their hands. Now, if you contrast that with Vintage Market Days, almost everybody at Vintage Market Days was there to shop. And so this is an example of a booth that I thought was done really well. There were pieces as inexpensive as $12. There may have been a few pieces less than that, but everything was displayed really nicely, and there was a variety of work. The quality was exceptional, and there were actually quite a few people in this booth. It was really nice to see that when you had a quality artisan and somebody who had a variety of price points, that people were there shopping. There was actually a line to check out in this booth, which I think was the only time that happened to me. And because there were affordable price points, I actually picked up a couple of these ornaments for my own house. I thought they were quite adorable. For me, it was this Vintage Village area that was the saving grace of this entire event. The booths here were absolutely phenomenal. And if you're enjoying this view of some of these vintage booths, be sure to check out my Facebook channel or my Instagram, because I've been doing a lot of reels on these booths, giving you an up-close look at some of the amazing pieces here that I'm not showing in this video. I didn't want to make this video too long, so I've already posted probably 8 or 10 reels, and I have enough content for probably another 10 more reels just taken from these booths. They're absolutely stunning pieces. There were, I believe, 10 vintage booths in this area, and this is where we spent at least half the day in these booths. Absolutely amazing furniture, finds. I spent a good amount of money in this section coming out of my own pocketbook for my own home decor. And so this fascinated me. This was just a little basket of heads and limbs of various broken porcelain dolls. Who knew there was a market to sell such things? Notice the styling, how the styling really makes everything look just a little bit more expensive. It looks like a collection. It looks like collectibles, not just a bunch of old junk shoved on a shelf. Oh, and this booth was breathtaking to me. I can't even imagine owning all of these pieces. Again, I did a really nice reel on looking at some of these pieces up close. Holy cow, just phenomenal, beautiful French and Italian gilded pieces. Oh my God, look at this table. I'm gonna go back to the legs here in a second. Look at the legs on this table. Holy moly, brass. Oh.
All the streets were cold. He had his eyes on all the bright shining silver and gold. As time went by so slowly, if only he could show me silver and gold. He didn't need no reason more than the oh so pleasing bright shining silver and gold.
So I want to get a better look at these. I had to pick them up and take a look at them. They're really fascinating. They're actually book covers. They took off of books and then they just decoupaged on some images. $15 each. Amazing. This booth was right up my alley. This is how I like to merchandise. You notice all this amazing greenery. And it's funny because I bought one of those pumpkin heads and I brought it up there and he's like, do you want the eucalyptus that's in it? And I had to ask how much it was, and it was $22 a spray. And no, I didn't buy the eucalyptus with it, but boy, was it nice. And I actually ordered myself some of that same eucalyptus. I know exactly where he bought it.
So slowly, if only he could
And so this booth might get the award for the most creative use of vintage. They have taken these old clocks and these old beauty cases and turned them into amazing vintage holiday home decor. Overall, my impression of Yellow Daisy Festival was, I'm gonna be honest, it was a little disappointing. I really loved all the vintage vendors that were sort of around the 10 area. That was absolutely the highlight of my day. A lot of the vendors were kind of old school and they weren't as on trend as I'd hoped they would be. And also, I didn't think that the quality of workmanship was up to the standard that I'd had in my mind. I think that, part of me wants to say perhaps it's the economy that's not good and that's why people weren't shopping. But in truth, if I compare it, Vintage Market Days was only 2 weeks ago and we had a stellar show. So the people were there. There were way more people at the Yellow Daisy Festival than there were at Vintage Market Days. So that confuses me a little bit on that. Part of me thinks that perhaps the way the show is laid out, that maybe people just weren't shopping because they didn't want to carry their goods. Now you could have brought, and we did see some people with like a little pull behind cart or push cart or something that they kind of, went around the show with, and you'll see a lot of those at the Vintage Market Days and such. And I kind of wish I'd had one of those because there were things like the rusty pumpkins made out of the gas cans and what have you that I would really like to have bought, but I didn't because I didn't want to carry them. I mean, I really wanted one of those gas can pumpkins, and the prices were great, but I didn't want to carry it around. And so I wonder if perhaps more people had that mentality, it being such a big show and parking actually being a bit of a trek from the show itself, that there didn't seem to be a porter service or anything like that. So to actually move items from the booths, any larger items from the booth to your vehicles, that actually requires a commitment of being willing to carry it or going back to your vehicle to drop things off and coming back to the event. Again, a lot of walking. So part of me thinks that just the overall layout of the event might have been the issue. I really don't know. I can't quite put my finger on it. I do think that, again, I don't think the vendors were up to the par that I would have anticipated for such a well-known juried event. And I think that the styles were a bit outdated. I think a lot of the things that we saw are things that we've been seeing for the last few years. So as much as I was excited to go to the Yellow Daisy Festival, and I had a great time, I did personally buy probably 6 or 8 things, I was kind of sad. I will probably go back next year since it is so close to my daughter and see if anything has changed. But I'm going to say, I was really hoping to give this a huge thumbs up and, 4 out of 4 stars. But if I were being honest, I'm probably going to give it 2.5 stars. And the 2.5 stars are really only because one of the chenille lady, her stuff was amazing. And then 2, all of the vintage vendors. If there had been more of that style, I would give it higher marks. The Vintage Market booths, I would give a 4 out of 4. They were all amazing, but unfortunately, it just was too small of a percentage of the show. And for some exciting news on why I have been absent, is my baby girl, if you've been paying attention, was pregnant. And you notice I say the word was. She had the baby. So I am not allowed to show any images of her. So I'm going to share this image, which is covering her. Mom, baby, and daddy are all doing great. And I'm not allowed to share her name or any images or any vital information about her. My daughter is very private and has requested that we not share any images or any of that information on our social media channels. So I will respect that. But she is absolutely adorable and huge. She's huge. And hopefully, eventually, she'll let us share some pictures. So some exciting stuff going on. And yeah, I promise I will do my best to get back to some crafty videos this week. If you liked today's video or you like this type of content, please be sure to hit the like and subscribe button and share it with some friends because it helps to grow the channel. And I really appreciate that.